you know, just the action. Don't be afraid to get your hands in the tank and touch the plants, feel the plants, get to know the plants. It's all to do with practice. It's all to do with intentional practice, not just doing a thing mindlessly. It's paying full attention to what you're doing. Hi everyone, welcome to this new video where I am going to maintain these 3 aquascapes in real time. I'll talk you through the whole process. It's going to be a good couple of hours or so. Maybe put it on your TV at home and maintain your own tanks, or on your phone and put some headphones in. There'll be lots of talking, but there'll be some periods of just peaceful music and you can just watch what I'm doing. And I really hope you enjoy it. If you do, you know what to do. Take care and thanks for watching. So first things first, I'm in running kit because it's so hot in the UK right now and I've just been for a run. So first thing I'm going to do is just take in the aquascapes, just have a quick inspection. Is there anything that needs, you know, real super attention? Any particular areas that I really need to focus on? It has been about 10 days since I last did any maintenance, hence the evaporation on the 2 Scopoline 60s there. But good news, there's not much nuisance algae, so things are remaining as they should be. There's quite a lot of algae on the glass, that's no surprise. We'll clean that off obviously. Probably need to clean the glassware on that one. Yeah, we'll clean the glassware on that one as well. Clean all the pre-filters, do all the trimming, etc. I'll take you through the whole process. Okay, so let's get the equipment, maintenance equipment out first. So I've got a couple of buckets here with loads of towels and tools, and then I've got glass cleaner and cloth there. We'll do that right at the end. Most of my tools are actually in the door of the Scopoline cabinet because, yeah, it's just a really handy place to put them. In fact, there's a couple of tools there as well. And then what I do like to do is just put a towel down on my sofa here and then put all my tools on there nice and neatly for easy access. So tools I use are a ADA scraper. This is the nano version. The big version, I've run out of blades, so I've just gone on to the nano version. Some ADA pincets for any replanting, etc. that needs doing, and some Tropica curved scissors. Spray bottle, this is normally just filled with tank water. That's to keep the plants wet whilst the water's evaporated. Net. Dunley Cleanator, this is perfect for cleaning large areas of glass to keep the algae off very, very quickly. If you can't get rid of stuff with the cleanator, that's when you go onto the Pro Razor. And then for corners and rocks and stuff, you can use toothbrush. And I also have an ADA brush here, which is very good for really, really stubborn algae, and the bristles don't get worn out like they do on other metal brushes. We have hose cleaning brush. This is perfect for cleaning the pre-filter, inlet tube, and, you know, hoses of course. Paintbrush here. Sometimes I use that for just tidying up any sand or gravel. Siphon hose, but I do have a couple of really long siphon hoses that go in the garden, and then also a hose that goes from my kitchen to fill up with fresh water, which I'll do later. So that is all of the equipment, and I have a 12-litre bucket, it's a 4 gallon, 3 gallon bucket. And then I have a much bigger bucket, this is about 10-gallon bucket here. So what I'll do first is clean all of the glass on all of the tanks. So, Dunley Cleanator, a couple of towels so we don't drip water everywhere. And then I'm going to put my AirPods in and listen to some cool cool music whilst I do this. I'm expecting the door to go soon, so I may have to pause the video for any major interruptions, of course. So I really enjoy the maintenance process. It should be a non-negotiable task, really, if you're really into aquascaping. You know, maintenance is part of the hobby. It's a huge part of the hobby. It's the part that I find probably the most therapeutic, because it's quality time. It's quality time for you as the hobbyist. Time for you and the aquascapes. And whilst I'm maintaining an aquarium like this, my hands are wet and I'm using all my senses almost. It's a really great way to enter into like a meditative state where it's just you and that thing. No other problems are existing right now, and you really are in the present moment. You know, try not to rush it. The Denelay cleanator it has like a sponge on one side and then there's some wire wool on the other, and you do actually get tiny little fragments coming off the wire wool, and they do actually enter into the aquarium. They are non-toxic, so it's nothing to worry about, but it does mean that you may see some little kind of iron filings in your tank, and eventually you will need to replace the cleanator with a new one, because it just degrades over time. But they are very, very good for removing algae very quickly in large areas, and I do like to get my hands in the tank. It is a good idea to wash your hands before you do your tank maintenance, especially if you've been using any household chemicals, pesticides, anything that may contaminate your aquarium water. So yeah, make sure you wash your hands thoroughly and rinse them off thoroughly, of course. Now, some areas are going to be hard to reach with this Snail cleanator, so that's when you can use the scraper and the toothbrush, of course. And even if you can't see the glass, you know, any algae that's on the glass. So, for instance, at the back here, you can't actually see any algae because the plants are covering it. But I think it's just a good discipline to get into, keeping everything clean. You know, when I was in the military, we used to have inspections, uniform inspections, and literally every part of your uniform would have to be either ironed or cleaned, even if it wasn't on display. So I think that's a discipline and a habit that I've developed, and you know, I think it's a good one, self-discipline, and not necessarily OCD. You know, that's actually a psychiatric condition. I think it's sort of been overused. You know, oh, I've got a bit of OCD because I like to keep things clean. Well, no, that's not OCD. That's just, you know, having some discipline about being clean. You think about it, the glass, you know, it's the thing that's holding the whole universe together. You know, this, when I say universe, this mini universe that's kind of our creation and our responsibility. And if you're not keeping the glass clean, then you're not doing it justice. It's like you can't see into that universe very well. You you're filtering out the reality. You're blocking some of that reality because you've allowed your laziness to accumulate on the glass. I planted these fresh last time I maintained this tank, so they haven't rooted quite well yet. That's why they just wanted to float out. I will be rescaping this soon. As you can see, it's almost overgrown already, and it's getting to this point every 10 to 14 days where it needs a good trim. So I think it's time for a new aquascape soon in here. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see. I'm actually really considering doing a Dutch style tank, and the trouble is with a 60 centimetre or 2 foot long tank isn't really suited to Dutch style because it is a bit small, and the Dutch aquascaping rules are quite strict if you do them properly using the NBAT, the NBAT rule set. So yeah, I'll get back to you on that, about what scape we do in here. Now, when you're scrubbing the corners, there's silicone work in here. It does get built up with tough green algae. So yeah, get a nice toothbrush in that corner and give it a good rub. It's important, if you do this every week rather than letting it build up for months, then hopefully it will never get to a point where it does look really obvious that there's algae on there. We do have some lime scale build-up on there. This is one of the disadvantages of a rimless tank, is that evaporation is obviously more apparent, and as a consequence of living in a hard water area, when it does evaporate, it's literally the pure water that's evaporating, and it leaves behind all of the dissolved minerals that were in that water, hence the lime build-up. If I lived in a soft water area, or if I used reverse osmosis or rainwater, then this lime scale build-up wouldn't be so apparent. But it does look very ugly, and that is probably the biggest, and the fact that you can get jumping fish obviously in open top tanks. They're the two biggest disadvantages, I would say. But as an aquascaper, because your priority, you're normally optimising for aesthetics rather than anything else. So aesthetically, as an aquascaper, rimless are usually preferred because you can look into it. It's another dimension that you can see rather than just the 3 sides or even 4 sides from the back. You can see through the 5th side, which is obviously looking into the tank, which does look very cool. Now I will be trimming in here as well. There are videos, of course, on each of these tanks, so if you wanted to find out more about the actual specific details of each tank than just to check out my back catalogue. So top tip, if you don't want to, if you're not happy with all of the algae build-up on the rock, and I did this last time, you can just carefully turn the rock upside down. Or, you know, at a different different position, so that algae is now not facing you, the viewer, and it saves lots of scrubbing. There you go. Now, obviously, it depends if you're happy with the rock composition. You know, by turning it over, you're affecting the aesthetic, obviously. So it does depend on, you know, how does that rock look, you know, visually. That's fine. And then same with this one. This isn't too bad, to be fair. We'll leave that one there. This has been shaded so much by the plants, so that's okay. Okay, that is the glass cleaned and the rocks done. Time to trim. In fact, I'm not going to do the trimming now because we're doing all 3 tanks in one go. I'm going to clean the glass in this one next, and then we'll clean the glass in that one, and then we'll just do each kind of maintenance task on each tank. And I think that's a better use of time and effort, you know, economy of effort we call that. Okay, time to clean the Highline 400. So we remove the lid, very easy. Let's pop that down there. And clean the glass. So sometimes I'll use I'll use the algae magnet today. This is good for the upper parts of the aquarium. And you can just have a look down the sides to see how bad the algae buildup is, and then you can actually see if you've missed any pieces, any areas. Really careful not to get anything trapped in between those powerful magnets and the glass, because it will scratch, and I have plenty of scratches now on this tank. Unfortunately, it's 5 years old, and I have been a bit overzealous, I think, with the cleaning, and unfortunately I've scratched the glass in some places. Have been offered a Highline 600, which is 50% bigger than this tank. It's basically a longer version, and it would fit in this space quite nicely. So that is tempting, especially as it will be provided to me as a source of, you know, material content. So, you know, grateful that I don't have to pay for these tanks, just have to pay in other ways in terms of my time and energy and commitment to Awase, of course, which is fine. Yeah, good company, great products, and yeah, grateful for the opportunity to be able to not only, you know, do my hobby, but also have an income and provide a roof over my head for my family. I did release a video in this Highline 400 recently, an update vlog, so you know, that was the last time I actually maintained this tank, just before that vlog. So yeah, it's interesting. I will be removing probably a good 20-30 leaves or so. I'll show you how I do that, of course. I always thin out the snail population as well. I don't mind snails, but they they don't look attractive in huge populations, so I do thin them out and actually use them as a food source for the fish. So I'll show you how we do that in a minute. Some of the algae is so stubborn that you will have to use either the Dunley cleanator or the razor, and I've deliberately kept away from the bottom of the tank to avoid potentially trapping the grains of sand or gravel. Now, it is a deep tank. I'm on my tiptoes right now and I'm 6 foot tall, so if you're a shorter human, then you may need to use a little step ladder or a stool or something to give you deeper access, or just use a long arm scraper maybe. But I love getting my hands wet. You know, I love getting in there. I'd love to get in here. I'd love to be a tiny little, maybe not tiny, maybe, imagine that, imagine being a little human about that big enough not to be eaten by the fish, and actually swimming in your own fish tank. How cool would that be? You can actually, just by running your hand along the glass, you can feel the algae actually. And this is, I was saying earlier about using all your senses. It's a really great way to kind of hone your skills. Just become more in tune with your aquascape. Even smelling it, you know, you can quite easily smell foul water. And it's just a surefire way that something's going wrong in your aquarium. I always tend to clean the glass first. It's normally the first maintenance job I ever do, so I can see better what's inside the tank. And the last thing I always do is the big water change, because the action of maintaining the tank, you're often disturbing things and causing floating organic matter to float around the tank, and this can trigger algae if you're not careful. So it's important to do that water change last, and it will be a 50% water change typically, and I'll show you exactly how I do that later. So even some of this algae here on the black glass is very, very stubborn, even for the Dunley cleanator, so I'll use the little scraper in a moment. I can really feel the algae there, very stubborn. Feels really rough to the finger, whereas obviously the glass feels really smooth. Might sound obvious and a very quick tip, but once you've been cleaning the algae with the cleanator and you take it out of the aquarium, squeeze it into a bucket. Don't squeeze it back into the tank, because then you're releasing all of that algae into the water column. That's going to travel around and potentially cause algae elsewhere. So if you start seeing me sort of dancing around a little bit, I'm listening to compilation album by Njuna Deep, which are a sort of deep house, sort of trance tech sort of record label. Fun fact, actually, I met up with a fellow aquascaper at a dance festival in London a few weeks ago. Dave, shout out to Dave if you're watching. Dave Shanahan, he's from Manchester area. He's a really, really good scaper. Bit of an ADA fanboy, but I won't hold that against him. Tommy's here. I don't know, you probably can't see him, but Tommy does like to come and explore while I'm doing the tank maintenance. And say hello to everyone, Tommy. Good boy. He's a good boy. Yeah. Good boy. Okay, it's cleaning off these really, really stubborn algae. Oh, it's raining. Oh, the garden's getting a good watering, that's good. Okay, so now just checking out any really stubborn bits, normally around the back here, because the twin star light that I've got is actually on the rear brace, balancing on the rear brace. So it's obviously very near the back glass. So that's no wonder it gets a fair share of algae. Very satisfying scraping it off. Could just slide the lights backwards and forwards. I've got the Twin Star 1200, that's the main light. I can slide that backwards and forwards while the 900 remains at the rear in a fixed position. So this aquascape in its current form has been running around 3 years. The hardscape's been in here for 5 years. In fact, the Yamano shrimp have slowly been nibbling away at the wood. So it's actually getting slightly smaller and smaller. I think if I kept this running for 20 years, there'd be no wood left. So what I'm doing now is cleaning the algae off the dry weir. So this is in the back left corner, and that's responsible for just channeling the filter hoses and the electric cables. Okay, that's the first 30 minutes coming up, so I need to restart the camera. Just bear with me. It's going to be the longest 4K video I've ever made. Truth, gosh, imagine the file size. I wonder if I've got enough space on my computer. Hope so. It's going to take a long while to upload it as well, isn't it? Well, I hope it will be worth it for you guys. So you may hear some background noises in the home. This is obviously my home. I'm not in a dedicated standalone studio. This is part of my home. So the stepson's upstairs. Probably just about getting out of bed now, 1 PM. Time to do some snail thinning. So here's a big snail here. These are ram's horn snails. So these are less prolific than the bladder snails, which breed absolutely, you know, you can end up with hundreds and hundreds before you know it. So what I do is just crush them against the glass and the fish go mad for it. So it's a, you know, it's a form of assisted biological control, I guess you could say. Well, I don't like to use chemicals if I can help it. Liquid fertilisers, a little bit of dechlorinator, occasionally some bacteria to just boost the good, you know, the beneficial bacteria levels in the tank. They help to keep things fresh. It's sort of good and bad bacteria really in an aquarium, and if you can, a bit like algae versus plants, if you can, you know, nurture the good bacteria, and it stops the bad bacteria from taking over. Just like nurturing decent plant growth will prevent algae from taking over. So I'm just sort of just scanning for any big snails that are looking so attractive. So but snails are actually an asset to an aquarium because they tend to eat decaying matter and excess fish food. So they're performing a function, they just don't look very attractive, and we're kind of culturally, I don't know why, but culturally we're sort of perceive snails as a pest. I guess it's a bit like slugs in your garden. They can eat, I mean, slugs do, I mean, genuinely eat, you know, your precious plants. Like if you're growing vegetables, you know, you don't want your slugs to be taken over, but snails don't eat healthy plants, so that's good. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm just looking for any unhealthy leaves, and I remove them. Anything less than perfect, basically. So anything that's standing out, this Echinodorus leaf here has clearly been eaten by some hungry amano shrimps. They tend to eat the sword leaves if they get hungry. So what I do is I run my hand all the way down to the bottom, and I can feel where that leaf is protruding from the rootstock. Literally get my finger and thumb right at the bottom, and then just give it a sharp tug, and then remove. And you might be able to see this white portion of the leaf at the base. That means that you know you've got it all the way to the bottom. And then where that's been removed from, hopefully it will grow a nice healthy new leaf. And this is a form of just keeping the plant from taking over as well. So it's a dual purpose really. You're removing an unhealthy leaf, and then you're also promoting new growth, and you're thinning, well, three purposes. You're thinning out the whole aquascape so it doesn't become overgrown and unsightly, and also an overgrown aquascape tends to suffer from poor circulation and poor light. You know, there's some light limitations, obviously. Those plants that are shaded, overshadowed by the other plants, are going to suffer. So it's a balancing act. You know, you want enough plant growth to look attractive, but not too much that it could negatively affect the system. So this sword in particular is becoming very, very dense. So I'm going to thin out some of the leaves. And this is the key to long-term maintenance. It's knowing your plants. It's knowing a little bit about horticulture. You know, how the plant should look, how you want it to look, how to maintain it, you know, in the longer term, in terms of thinning it out or propagating it potentially. And the more you do this, the more you maintain your plants, the more you'll build your experience levels and start to understand the sort of the language of the plants, you know, and it goes beyond kind of concepts and language, regular language. It's it's almost like a direct communication with a living thing that you're looking after. And it's actually a really beautiful kind of dialogue that you start to understand. You know, people, they call it green thumb, or, you know, the plant whisperer or anything like that. It's all to do with practice. It's all to do with intentional practice, not just doing a thing mindlessly. It's paying full attention to what you're doing. And when you're doing that, for me anyway, time isn't a thing. It's just a concept. It's just, it goes so fast, you know, hours will go by, and it's a beautiful thing. So I'm just going to spend a good few minutes now filling out the crypts. So the crypts are on the left and the right, the swords are in the middle, and I'll just put some nice music on now and do my thing. Just realised I said I was going to clean the glass in all the tanks, didn't I? And I got carried away. Dear. I do normally just do one tank at a time, all the processes on each tank. So I'm just going to do what I normally do, otherwise it's not authentic. I was going to try and be really efficient, do all the glass, then, you know, do all of the trimming, then, you know, do each kind of function in all three tanks rather than each tank as a separate function, if that makes sense. So I'll just go with the flow, guys, I'm sure you don't mind. hobby shouldn't be efficient. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to do it for the sake of doing it and take your time, and there should be no, you're not competing, you're not doing it for a reward, you know, it's not a transactional process, that's what I'm saying. The only transaction is just the enjoyment of looking after something that's living, and it's your creation, and you know, you don't have to be efficient at maintaining it, you just have to enjoy it. So that's what I'm going to do. So these crypts are really starting to take over this ocelot, this Echinodoros ocelot, so I'm just thinning them out around it. Create a little bit more definition between the species. It's nice to have them blended, but there's a point where you don't want it to be kind of too smothered, and with you know, no definition, it just doesn't look very coherent. It just looks a bit of a mess otherwise. I was chatting about this to a friend yesterday, and he's keeping a Dutch tank. He's actually going all in on it, really strict. That's why kind of inspired me to think about doing it in there. But we were both chatting about once you become a skilled aquascaper and, you know, used to growing aquarium plants well and without much difficulty, you get to the point where you realise aquascaping in terms of maintenance and composition is more about taking things out rather than adding things. And I think that's a lesson that we can maybe apply to our lives. You know, we live in a culture, it's almost like a hustle culture or growth, well, a capitalist culture, isn't it? So it is all about growth and more, faster, you know. But actually, I think you realise happiness is about being at peace with less, not more. So for that reason, I'm going to take out this biggest lily leaf. This is the one that's shooting to the surface. So you can kind of keep promoting new compactor growth by keep removing that shooting leaf. It's never a point where the aquascape looks perfect, because perfection is just a man-made concept, you know. But there is obviously points of, you know, the tank looks optimal or at its peak condition, But don't be fooled into thinking that you can create perfection. It's a route to sadness, actually. Chasing perfectionism is you could argue it's a childhood trauma response, actually, in order to try and keep you safe. Do you want to avoid criticism by being perfect? And as someone that comes from in a challenging family dynamic, with a super strict father figure and someone with ADHD, that was a tricky combination, which I'm still working on as we speak. Door's gone, excuse me a minute.
Oh yeah.
Hello mate.
Alright, can you take a quick picture please?
Yeah, no worries.
You got it?
Yep.
Can we put it down, sorry, because
Yeah.
it's slow? Because every time that's raining, this thing doesn't work.
Is it wet? Is it because it's raining?
Yeah, because it's old as well, so...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have to use my old phone, I can't use the new one.
No worries.
Alright, that's it.
Cheers mate, take care. Dog food's just arrived. Toby, dog food's here. The dog food's here. So I'm just taking out the biggest sword leaves. They actually get really leathery when they get old. It's really interesting, really tough. But again, it's all about taking things out rather than adding sometimes. So you'll take out the sort of biggest, oldest leaves. They're quite often got little tears on them or little nibble marks from the shrimps. Maybe even the fish. Some fish will eat plants occasionally if they get hungry enough. The ocelot is actually the leaves are much more delicate than the red diamond swords behind. So you do have to be careful when you're maintaining, because you don't want to tear the leaves really. The plant will try to repair, that leaf, and then instead of producing new leaves or new growth. I think we're there now for the plants for now. As you can see, it's I've probably removed, well, I'll show you, I don't know if you can see in the video, but that much plant mass every week pretty much. It's just very crazy when you think about it. That's it leaves on that. We'll do the glass on this one and trim this one. Just trim that one still, and then it'll be water changes and filter clean. So if you're still listening, you're still watching the video, thank you, because it's been a good 45 minutes, I guess. Time to clean the glass on here. So, like as before, the evaporation has left behind this horrible scum mark, so let's just get that straight away with the scraper. So I've actually got some fish in here. They're platies I've just transported from the other scaper line because they've been breeding. So this tank is the new escape. I set this up as part of my home aquascape workshop, which was four weeks maybe, I don't know. My time perception is really weird. I don't really have a very good concept of time. I think it's an ADHD thing. Do let me know in the comments if you're a fellow neurodivergent person. I think there's so many of us in the hobby, it kind of lends itself as a natural hobby to suit neurodivergent in any hobby really, because it's something that you can get obsessed about quite easily. I can't think of anything I'd rather get obsessed about than aquascaping, obviously. mix of stem plants in here. We do have some algae build up on there. There's a Spiralis. It's not adapted very well. I'm just going to take that out because I think it's dead pretty much. It's really interesting, and some of the leaves, you can see the new growth is algae free and the old growth has got algae on it. The old growth is the emerged, the emerged parts of the plant, which if it's a potted plant that's been grown in a nursery or been grown hydroponically, so that plant will be adapted to grow out of water. And then it has to adapt to grow underwater, of course, and then sometimes it doesn't make the transition, and the old emergent part, the plant that's been grown out of water, tends to die off, and in the process of it dying or not being very healthy, it leaves the door open to algae. Interesting, there's 3 really healthy leaves and 1 terrible leaf. Doesn't really suit the scope anyway, let's take it all out. Sometimes I put plants in there and I realise it probably wasn't the best idea to put that in there, and then you can take it out. It's all part of learning, it's all part of the hobby. Test and adjust, just practice, make mistakes, learn from them, evolve, grow. Grow literally, like in terms of your skill, your experience. And don't be worried about making mistakes. In fact, relish the mistakes, because you can learn without making mistakes, but mistakes are the best way to learn, I think. And I've certainly made enough of those over the years, that's for sure. I'm sure many of you have. So I'm actually not going to do much trimming in here, because I'd just rather leave the plants to keep growing without stressing them, because it is so new. I just want everything to fully adapt, and I want the biology to mature in the whole system. So I'll just leave everything pretty much as it is, just do the water change and clean the algae off the glass, etc. So you can notice, I don't know if you can see in the video, but just by waving your hand around, you'll pick up a load of detritus that will need removing as part of the water change. Top tip, you can just run your fingers through the cosmetic sand there, and any sort of diatoms that have built up on that will disappear. We've got an old Anubias plant here with some dying leaves, so just take those off and pop that back. I did have a load of Bucephalungia needle leaf in here, but it's all melted, which is really annoying. Oh, okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Did you done fish, dog food?
Yeah, that's all done.
Thanks, mate. Good luck at your lesson. So yeah, Toby's my youngest stepson. Really sort of older viewers to the channel, we're talking 10 years ago or so, might have seen Toby as a little boy with my daughter Florence. Some of my earlier videos when he was about 7 or 8 years old, and he actually encouraged me to do YouTube again, because I did have a YouTube channel since 2007, I think, but I just used it as a library really. I didn't promote anything. There was no real purpose to the channel, just somewhere to upload videos and store them as a library really, rather than just saving them on my computer. I just thought, oh, this is a free storage, which is effectively what it is, isn't it? Yeah, so shout out to Toby for helping me stay motivated. So yeah, he's learning to drive. He'll be off to university next year. Florence is at uni now. She's studying criminology. So she's really into psychology, and yeah, proud dad, proud stepdad. I'm grateful, really grateful for my family. It's something I think many of us may take for granted, and sometimes, you know, you realise, and it's too late, you know, sometimes you realise these things when something disastrous happens. So I think it's important to exercise gratitude even when everything's going, especially when everything's going well, because you never know what's happening next. There's very little in our control in this life. That's a good point, actually. I think aquariums give you the illusion that you do have some control, maybe. You do have an influence, of course, you know, by looking after the aquarium, you know, water changes, the right equipment. You can definitely influence things in a positive way, but you certainly aren't in full control. That's nature's job. We're just a guiding hand. And what a privilege it is to be able to have that guiding hand to help create something so beautiful, you know. Cultivating happiness through the beauty of three-dimensional living art. There you go, you can take that one away. So it's a few diatoms around here, so just give that a bit of a stir with my tweezers. I could scrub the rocks, but I don't think they're needed right now. You can see this long green plant, that's Heteranthera zostifolia. I might just give that a tiny trim, just to improve the composition a touch. There we go. Say, oh, I'm not going to do anything, I'm not going to trim any plants, and then I just get carried away. It's like one thing leads to another. There's some staghorn on there, let's get rid of that. Yeah, I've decided I'm just going to trim it as I want rather than leaving it. Oh dear, it's very addictive, you know, trimming. I wasn't even trimming, just pinching. It's just a very easy way to control the growth. There we go. Much better. This moss is looking a bit think I just wedged it in there, didn't I? Well, I didn't use any glue, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, just let the moss float around and attach itself in other places, that's no problem. I think we're using weeping moss in here. It's not the best at attaching. It tends to do better with highlight and CO2 and good circulation. It should do okay. Okay, let's finish the glass off. You know, just the action. Don't be afraid to get your hands in the tank and touch the plants, feel the plants, get to know the plants. Feel them, feel the textures, feel the difference in textures in the different species. You know, we're visually dominated as a human, but we do have 4 other senses. Some people may consider we have more than that, but let's use them. Have a holistic approach to aquascaping, not just focused on the aesthetics, but the whole experience. Nasty bit of algae there. So if I do see any leaves or stems or anything of like not, you know, bad algae, I will remove those. It just becomes an attraction to algae, so just by removing the whole thing, hopefully nips it in the bud. Oh, it's looking quite good. Okay. Do you know what? I'm tempted to clean the rocks. Yeah, I'm enjoying myself too much, guys. Somebody stop me. This is what happens when my wife's away. Next thing I'll be doing, moving the whole, rearranging everything again. This is what normally happens. So my wife works away. She normally works from home, but occasionally she'll do 2 days a week working away. So I basically have the house to myself, and then I always tend to think about how can I improve the layout of the home. What can I add? What can I take away? Like we talked about, what can I move in order to increase the experience of the flow through the home? It's really beautiful because it's so many house plants. Obviously, aquascapes. I've got these 3, and I've got my Highline 300 cichlid tank. We'll have a couple of nanos on the go, which I'll be selling once they're mature as well. I'll be setting those up in a week or so, hopefully. I guess I should overlay some dance music while I'm dancing, otherwise it'll be a bit weird if I'm dancing to chill out music. I'm actually off to see Fred again. Oh, there's a load of other acts as well, but he's my main attraction at the moment. I love Fred again. So yeah, it's my birthday soon, and Emma's taken me to Paris to celebrate, and there's a big dance rock festival called Rock Insane. Which is a play on words, actually, because rock insane means rock on the River Seine, which is the river that runs through Paris. But when you think of it, the English pronunciation, rock insane, obviously insane being a madness. So looking forward to a weekend of madness coming up. Yeah, let's clean that rock. So I'll use the softer toothbrush rather than the ADA. Yeah, that's coming off. You can see the difference there. There's like diatoms, which do come off quite easily. It's not had a, if it's 4 weeks old now, I'm actually going to look when it was, because I can't remember exactly the exact date we did the workshop. July 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, nearly 5 weeks old. So yeah, we are at the peak diatom stage, which makes sense, that time period. But we did fit a mature filter, so those diatoms aren't as bad as they could be. Diatoms are basically a symptom of an immature biology. Lack of balance. So this is a natural process. It's actually a sign that things are maturing as they should be. It's a sign of your microbiology is doing its thing, and then it goes through a phase, and then hopefully it will kind of die back on its own accord. A little bit of help from you by cleaning. You can use other techniques like chemical filtration, adding some Purigen and things like that, but I like to keep it straightforward. I just use the media that's present already and the Iwase Biomasters from manufacturer. I think actually sponges are underrated filter media. And I think a lot of the manufacturers obviously have these different biomedias, and that's fine. It's nice to have options, but I have had excellent results with the factory fitted media. And there is a completely updated Biomaster coming out in October, so we will be doing a full review of that at some point soon, hopefully. I'm very happy with some of these leaves. Some of those getting some minor BBA. Some of these leaves, let's take those off. I absolutely love dancing. Apart from aquascaping, it's probably one of my favourite things. It makes me happy. There's another thing as well, but we can't talk about that on a child-friendly YouTube channel. So I think when you're dancing and you're lost in the music, it's impossible not to be happy. I cannot not be happy when I'm dancing. It is, yeah, it's a joyful activity, absolutely. So there are shrimps in all the tanks, mainly Amanos in here. I did buy 50 originally. It's probably, well, there's probably 50 in there, but there's one down there. They're absolutely massive. It's 2 or 3 inches long now, and they can live 20 years plus because I know this for a fact because my friend James, a low tech guy, I'm sure he's had a shrimp for 22 years. Amano shrimp, incredible. Check out that video. It's one of my favourite kind of learning experiences, visiting James, learning about the low tech method, no water changes or very minimal water changes, minimal filtration. just letting the plants do their thing. Really, really interesting. Not my kind of, particularly my taste or genre, if you like, but absolutely always willing to learn about new ways of doing things. I'm always so curious about these things. Do you know what? I think that's a Bucophalangia needle leaf that's actually survived. Oh, it's just a Cadigan. It's a Cadigan baby. Okay, I think that's looking pretty sweet now. I'll put the light right at the front. I think that looks better in the video. Balances the exposure with the background. With the human eye, it looks quite well balanced anyway, but on camera it doesn't tend to look so good. The glass cleaned on all the tanks, all the plants sorted out on this one, plants sorted out on that one. Now we need to do an epic trim in here. Shouldn't take too long. This is the fourth or fifth trim, big trim I've done on here. I think I'm going to leave the foreground pretty much. Just take out any clearly unhealthy dying leaves or anything that's infested with algae. Going to do the topping technique, so just pinch off your stem and then just pop it in the bunch of other stems in the back, and then that will start to root even though it isn't in the substrate, if that makes sense, because it will just grow just like hydroponics really. As long as it's got access to nutrients in the water, it will grow no problem. Okay, I think I'm going to get a little stool now, you know, just to have a little relax. I'll keep those floating and I'll actually plant those back in the soil. Thin this star, it's called the common name for this is stargrass, the Heteranthus ostifolia. People often ask, you know, why do you always use the scientific name for a plant? I just think it's a good habit to get into, because a lot of the common names don't actually mean anything, and there's a lot of duplications. So if I said to you microsword, you know, what plant would you suggest that would be? Some people would say Echinodorus tenulis, some people would say Liliopsis brasiliensis, some people might say Halanthrium tenulinum green or Halanthrium tenulinum red. You know, what plant do you mean? So the surefire way to identify is by using the scientific name. And it is harder to remember, and some people get a bit intimidated because they're not sure how to pronounce it. But just practice. Don't be shy. If you don't know how to pronounce it, just say it with confidence and no one's going to question you. And as long as they understand what you mean, then who cares how you pronounce it? This is the Hygrophila polysperma. Again, this is a super fast grower. Great for getting quick impact in the tank and helping to prevent algae. Yeah, I think a Dutch would be good, wouldn't it? Because it would give me a challenge. It's nice to have challenges now and again. You don't just want to... It's always good to learn, I've never really done a strict Dutch tank before. I've tried a couple of times with mixed results, but yeah, it'd be good to have a go. I just don't know if 60 centimetres is too small though. Just going to put the lid on this because we do have hatchet fish in here which do tend to jump, so we don't want any of that. Basically, you can think of these glass boxes as three-dimensional canvas, and the plants are just the paints. But the paint just happens to grow and evolve and change, and you have control over that process. So you're the creator and you're also the maintainer, which makes you an artist, in my opinion. And instead of paint, we're using living materials. Not just plants, obviously fish, shrimps, snails, but bacteria, other fungi, protozoa, Polaria. We've got all these living things that are going on in this little tiny universe. It's like a metaphor, really, isn't it, for life in general. It's a small scaled down version. You heard of fractals? A fractal is an image which you zoom into and it never ends. It kind of repeats itself but changes slightly every time you zoom in, and I think there's definitely some analogies there that we can use to describe or compare an aquascape with the bigger universe. And if you've made it to this far in a video, I'm sure you're quite happy to hear me rambling about such topics that are a little bit different to what we normally talk about in aquascaping. That's okay. Right, I'm actually going to take a lunch break now. It is 2 p.m, so I'm going to do a meditation, do some journaling, have some lunch, and then I'll be back. Cheers. Okay, I'm back. So next job is cleaning all the pre-filters, hoses, glassware and water changes. So that will be next. So there's all the cuttings in there. I'll put the lights on so you can probably see better. You can see that maybe. Quite a lot of plant mass there. It's probably a good 100 or so leaves, probably a dozen or so full plants as well. So I will put them in the compost. Really important that we don't let any of those plants get into any natural waterways, however that may happen. It's quite crazy how it can happen, even like a bird sort of eating something and then pooing it out, on a river, a little seed or something could, so you just have to be really careful. It's no one deliberately, hopefully, adds invasive plants to nature, so just be careful. All right, so I'll put those in the compost, and then I've turned the filters off already, and we'll clean the pre-filters, get the filters running again, because the action of doing that tends to push a load of the crap from the filter through into the aquarium. So then I do the water change to dilute that stuff, and then clean the glass, and then we're done. Exciting. Okay, removing pre-filters, very, very simple. I don't really need to go through the whole process, I'm sure, but for those that aren't aware, the Aquascaping Biomaster filters, very popular due to the built-in pre-filter and heater and just their general overall quality, because Aquascaping are a premium aquarium brand. So that's that one. Let's take these two out now. So I'll take these to my kitchen, clean them in the sink. What I'll do to keep you entertained while I'm doing that, I will feed the fish and put some nice music on, because you don't want to hear running tap water particularly, I'm sure. So the filter's not on, but that's no problem for the amount of time that we're going to be cleaning. So a nice big sprinkle oil across the surface, like so. So this is a colour granulate food, and then I'll do some flake in the other two. I just sort of mix them up randomly. Sometimes I'll do colour flake, daily flake, micro granule, regular granule, colour granule, power, something else. Some sinking pellets for the Coidorus and the other fish. But yeah, I love it. It's really good quality food. I'm not just saying that because otherwise I support my channel, but it's genuinely a good quality food. You can tell the fish health is good, and they're really keen to eat it, of course. Okay, so let's clean these in the kitchen. See you soon. Thought I'd remarket myself as a veteran aquascaper. I think that sounds good, because I'm like war veteran and been doing aquascaping for so long. Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's double meaning. And it just sort of acknowledges the fact that I'm getting old as well. You know what I mean? So lean into that, because it's like, rather than seeing it as a disadvantage, it's like, oh, he's got experience. Smells good. You text your mum about your driving?
Yeah, I texted her. She said, "Am I feeling more confident now?"
That's good.
Yes.
Have you done any theory today?
I just a lot of theory.
That's good.
We did come off for like 20 odd minutes and a push got up.
What's the white circle? What's the white circle with a black diagonal line through it?
I went through quite a few of those today, yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah, it's national speed limit.
Correct. And what is the national speed limit?
It's 60 on a single, 70 on a dual.
And motorway?
70 as well.
Yep. How about for a lorry? Do you need to know that?
Possibly. Probably, I'm guessing it's 65 away.
I actually think it's 50 for a HGV on. Yeah. But you might need to look at that because I'm not sure myself actually.
Okay.
But I'm not even sure if you need to know because it's not. You're not driving a. But it's useful information because you know that they're going to be driving slower for a reason, not just to annoy you. It's obviously, they're much bigger and heavier, so they take longer to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just quickly, for those that aren't aware, you are able to upgrade your Awase biomass to inlet tubes now. So there's got bigger holes and it's actually just a nicer moulding. And yeah, this is going to improve your flow rate and allow your pre-filters not to be cleaned so frequently. Not that I recommend neglecting your filters, but just a little bit of an enhancement. So just swap that over literally one for one. Very straightforward. Back to cleaning. I don't know how well you can hear me, but if you can hear me okay over the running water. I really actually like the pre-filter cleaning process. I actually believe it or not, enjoy like squeezing the sponges and seeing all that mud, that horrible kind of muck come out, and that to me just makes me realise how much sort of waste organics, stuff that's going to potentially cause algae and poor water quality, you're removing it directly from the aquarium, and this just allows you to run a cleaner system, which with a high-tech tank is really important in order to prevent algae. In low-tech tanks it's kind of okay because everything's working much more slowly, and actually the accumulation of waste organics can enhance the biology of the aquarium because the bacteria can feed on it, the fish can feed on it, shrimps, etc. And it's just a different methodology. One's not better than the other, they're just very different. Low-tech's more appropriate for lower, slower growing plants, easier plants, less water changes, so much less maintenance. So if you're kind of, less fastidious, it's a good word, isn't it? If you're a bit less fastidious, then maybe the low-tech option is more appropriate, but it is one that requires a lot more patience. So it's not necessarily appropriate for complete beginners because they tend to not be so patient, which is understandable. You want to buy a fish tank and you want to get nice, pretty results. Otherwise, what's the point? When you're a beginner. So yeah, it's just an interesting topic all over the low tech, high tech comparison. There's a lot of I think it's prevalent online everywhere. Really, it's kind of division of things. Us versus them, but we're all the same. We're all the same, really. We've all got our individual characteristics, but generally speaking, humans are designed to cooperate. That's what's made us such a powerful creature on this planet. It's massively dominated, and has actually, what's the word? Impacted the planet so much. I don't want to talk about global warming or climate change, but at least the decimation of rainforests and natural resources, and it just doesn't seem in keeping with looking after the only home that we've got, as far as we know. Anyway, back to cleaning filters. Okay, I'm done. Okay, all right, let's do the 400 first. Okay. Ideally you want to be using coarser sponges, the bigger the tank, to maintain that flow. Now you watch now, I'll prime this one, is it? And then you'll see a load of gunk come out probably, that's no problem. So we're going to do a water change in a minute. All right, Betty, good girl. Is that Harrison home? So, same story as that one with the gunk. Struggling to prime, it seems. Okay. Hello, mate. You all right? You here for tea? We'll do roast chicken. We'll do roast chicken with baguettes. Is it an apple? I just realised that I've been eating an apple and it's probably really noisy and horrible for you. I'll put the volume down on this bit. Okay, still aware I haven't cleaned the pipes and the glassware yet. Do water change first, I think. Okay. Okay, take the lid off again. We'll do the 400 water change first. So, I've got a long hose, this goes directly into my garden. Unfortunately, I've managed to lose the strain off the end, so we do need to be mindful of not sucking up any livestock. Get another one from Aquarium Gardens on the next visit. I think I'm going to go and visit tomorrow actually. So we'll just, siphon that out to about half full and then fill it up with fresh water. So that goes directly into my garden now, feeds the lawn and the various plants out there. We have actually got quite a dry late summer now, so it does need it's a bit more water. To my wife. So I sent Emma, my wife, I sent her a copy of the thumbnail that I think I'm going to use. And she says, nice, love heart emoji, hunky. And then, yeah, you don't need to know what else she says. So excited for Paris this weekend. Last time I went to Paris was with the Air Force, just as a adventurous training expedition on the way to the Swiss Alps, and yeah, it was great. It was good fun, but I think it's going to be even more fun with my wife. Okay. So what you can also do is give all of the plants a nice gentle wave around. That's going to lift up any excess detritus. Don't know if you can see that stuff that's getting lifted up there. Nasty. Cleanliness is next to godliness with high-tech aquascaping. You can stroke the plants, just literally get your fingers, use them as a comb, get in between the leaves, touch the plants, get to know the plants, feel them, use your senses. You know, we're using touch now, we use our eyes, we use our ears, we use our nose. You can even taste plants, some plants are edible. Feel the energy. I don't like that there. It's too much. Let's trim those roots back. And we'll pop that one in there. This is the good thing about running multiple tanks. You can switch the plants around. Perfect. In fact, I think the Phalangia would look good there because it prefers light and the Anebius prefers the shade. So, makes sense to swap those over. Okay, or snails, nasty. Anebius leaves, if there's any that don't look healthy, just get rid of those. It's not very nice, get rid of that whole plant there. Remember what I said about removing stuff is sometimes just as important as adding stuff in terms of composition and visual effectiveness. Really interesting the way that crypt's growing as an epiphyte. Nasty as well. Some crypts growing through, literally growing through the gap in the wood. That is so cool. Let's have a final inspection. You know, if there's any plants that don't look optimum, let's thin this ocelot out a little bit. This really is the only bright green plant in here, so it's quite dominant visually when compared with the other species. I'll put a light on. Just keeping an eye on here, making sure the fish don't swim into that. I do need to get another strainer on there, that's for sure. A little goby there, there's a couple of gobies in there. Cute little fish. What I'm going to do now is just going to fill up this green bucket with the aquarium water and then use that to actually water my house plants. Turn the light off, doesn't it? It's so nice with the light on, does it? Don't like the reflections in that picture. Good girl. Okay, now some of the crypts and the swords are being exposed to the air. It's really important they don't dry out, otherwise it will damage the plants. It will damage the plant tissue and we don't want that, of course. And it will leave the door open to algae. So just fill that up with tank water. You know it's going to be fine for the plants, of course, and then just give it a good spray. Almost there. Well, I'll go and get the hose to fill up now. Okay. Got the siphon there. Oh, I need a little refill pipe. This water. I keep forgetting I'm being recorded. Okay, let's fit our special refill thing. Size. And then turn the tap on, get the right temperature. Pretty much just a tiny bit of warm from the tap because it's such a warm ambient temperature and the water supply is pretty warm already. Got a little bit of dechlorinator. I don't actually have, I've tested the chlorine levels here and it's virtually zero, but better safe than sorry. Otherwise a water conditioner. A couple of caps of this in. Liquid fertiliser, of course, because we have just diluted a load of the nutrients, so we need to add some more back again. So 5 squirts of this, which is 25 millilitres. 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a mixture of the Tropical Specialised Nutrition and the Aquascaping Line Daily Fertiliser. I've used both products mixed together because they both support my channel. Certainly seems fair. So the water might not look crystal clear straight away, but it shouldn't take long. There's such powerful filtration on here. Okay, we can semi-close the lid now. That will reduce some of the noise. And hopefully stop any fish. I've never actually had any fish jump yet, so grateful for that. Out of here, I've had a fish jumping out of here, unfortunately. But the platies don't seem to jump, which is good. Okay, whilst that's filling, keep an eye on it. You soon know when it's nearly full because you won't be able to hear the water. It will just pop that there like that, and then I'll start the siphon. It's not going to take long at all. The siphon needs down to 50%. Yeah, it's nearly there for the maintenance. And I'll make dinner for the boys. Emma's away, so I'll be cooking some roast chicken tonight. With some beautiful baguettes, mayonnaise, real butter, grass-fed butter. what I do is I marinate the chicken in a load of garlic and lemon, stick a load of lemons up its bum, roast it for an hour and a half or so, and then what I actually do is, this might sound a bit funny, let it cool down for a bit, then put rubber gloves on and actually just completely strip all the meat out from the carcass. Use that as the meat for the baguettes, and then any leftover meat have tomorrow maybe, and then with the carcass put it in a big pan and then make some chicken stock, or maybe even a chicken soup. It's not really the season for soups, but there you go. And chicken's really good for me because it has really high levels of tyrosine, which is one of the precursors to creating dopamine, which is what I have a lack of in my brain due to my ADHD, unfortunately. Unfortunately, take your pick. Yeah. Okay, that's about half. I'll do the same on this one. If I go over really quickly, it should just start the siphon straight away. There we go. Again, the same technique as before. So the fish, it'll be interesting to see the fish behaviour. They'll probably start to be a little bit slower because the water will be a bit cooler. Not too bad though, because we are in a bit of a heat wave over here at the moment. Okay, about 50% on there now. Okay, nearly there with the 400. Okay. Bit dechlorinator. And what I'll do is, rather than turning the tap off and on again, I'll just move it quickly over to this one via this bucket so I don't get water everywhere. Oh, the pressure's a bit too high to do that, to be fair, so I'm going to go and turn that off. Sharpish before we flood the place. It's supposed to be a relaxing video, George. Okay, now it's just the hoses and the glassware to clean. Okay, a bit of dechlorinator again. And then some fertilisers. Two squirts. One squirt. Okay, time to turn off the water supply. Okay, final job. Oh no, not final job. Glassware hoses and then clean the actual aquarium glass on the outside. No point in cleaning it on the inside, is there? And if you don't do the outside as well, that would be illogical. I can tell my meds are wearing off. I'm starting to feel a bit crazy. Okay. So, is it worth? Do you really want to see me cleaning the? Yeah. I promised a real-time maintenance video, and that's what I'm going to deliver. It's really important to keep promises, especially to yourself. Probably the most important person to keep promises to, isn't it, Betsy? Do you keep promises to yourself? I bet you do. You're a very honest little doggy. I don't think dogs can be dishonest, can they? I think that's why they're so beautiful. Okay. Time to turn the filter off again. Turn off the CO2, which I just do via the needle valves, because I still need to keep the CO2 running on the Highline 400. So, for those that aren't aware, I've got a 6 kilogram CO2 cylinder. That's about 10 pounds for American weight. And I'm running 3 tanks of the same cylinder using a Strideways CO2 regulator with a 3-way manifold. So now I can disconnect the disconnect the CO2 hose from the outlet hose, and then I actually need to briefly, in fact, what's going to happen is it's going to try to leak out a little bit from there, but it won't be too much. I can just quickly put my finger over that, do that, take that out. So, bucket there, and then simply remove the suction cups. Easier said than done sometimes. So, if they don't want to come off, they can stay on there then. And then just take the whole thing out, put it in your bucket, and then rinse and repeat with the other one. Interesting, it's got a different diffuser on that one. Okay, yep. Let's turn this off. And exactly the same process on here. I've built up pressure in that, it's such a long hose, I think. And then same thing. Take this to the sink. In the kitchen, use my hose brush, and then refit, and we're done. I think it's been probably 3 hours altogether, which is kind of what I expected. It is interesting kind of doing it. It's all of it being recorded, because you're aware, you're sort of hyper aware of what you're saying to everyone, and it's all it's all nothing. This is exactly what I do, but just in different order. I don't actually have a specific strategy and order of exactly what I do things in, apart from cleaning the glass at the beginning, inside of the glass right at the beginning, outside of the glass right at the end, and water change is the last sort of functional process to dilute all that waste. Yeah, okay, glassware, hose brush. I'll take a toothbrush and a scouring and the Denolay cleanator to clean the outside of the glass. Do that in the sink. Let's see if I can do this. Give myself 24 minutes. It's 23 minutes I'll do, give myself, hopefully. Yeah, 23 minutes to go. I got 23 minutes to go. I got 23 minutes to go. And the radio, I got 23 minutes to go. See, Okay, glass outlet. Glass inlet. It's really, the algae is actually really, it's tough to get rid of this. I might have to soak it in bleach. Yeah, it's really coated on the inside. Oh well, I'll do the best I can. It'll look okay from a distance, but I'll give that a good clean next time with some bleach. Ideally, if you really fancy, you have two sets of inlet and outlet, glass inlet and outlet. You keep one on soak all the time in bleach, and then you just swap them over when it comes to cleaning. But I'm not as fancy as that, unfortunately. Oh, not unfortunately, it's just what it is, isn't it? I quite like cleaning. As I said right at the beginning, maintenance is part of the thing. Although I have to say, after 3 hours of talking on and off to you guys on a hot day, and then got the dogs to manage, the boys to sort out with tea, dinner. We call tea dinner here in the UK sometimes. It's like a northern thing. I don't know why, because I'm not from the north, but yeah, this is really coated in green algae on the inside as well. Yeah. Not good enough, John. I don't care. Okay, let's clean the inside of this pipe. Okay, that's one set done. Second set. is very rewarding. The end result of cleaning glassware is always a bit sketchy because it's so fragile, and you know, it's always a risk of smashing it. Although touch wood, I haven't smashed any for a few years now. But, back in the day, I smashed more than my fair share, including a set of ADA. Yeah, which is an expensive mistake. Okie dokie, almost there. That's quicker than I thought it was going to take. It's funny what you can do when you're under pressure. Under pressure, looking down on me, looking down on me. Uh-oh. Luckily, that was just a drinking glass that didn't break, so grateful for that. On with dinner. I'm actually quite hungry. And then I'll watch, what should I do tonight? I'm going to stay off social media, and then I'm going to watch something wholesome on TV. A film maybe. I think I might watch Interstellar, I've not seen it yet. I've been highly recommended it. Okay, let's fit the glassware. CO2 back on. Okay, so that is the outlet. So yes, clean outlets. Okay, and then the inlet. Away. And then prime. Might go a bit gunky again. Not too bad. Okay, next one. And I'll set the CO2 bubble counters again in a sec. Okay, that one goes there. Inlet. First. Outlet. CO2. inline diffusers, of course, here on all the tanks. Okay, let's set the bubble rate. Same with this one. Okay, I slide the light to the back here to get those reds really red, and the foreground plants don't need so much light anyway. And before we finish, I'm just going to net any floating waste plants. How long have we got left? This 11 minutes. Plenty of time. I think that's 3 hours in a minute. Exciting. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've watched it all the way to this point, thank you so much. It means a lot. Even if you've just had it on in the background whilst you're doing your own tanks, or maybe you're on a car journey and you want to just listen to the audio. You know, let me know in the comments how were you consuming this video, and what were you doing during the 2 or 3 hours or so. Really curious to know. I do read all the comments. I might not reply to all them all, but I do definitely read them all. And I do appreciate them all, even if some of them are a bit... I don't get any trolls really anymore. I used to. Don't seem to get any anymore, which is nice. It's not an open invitation, but any comment's good for the algorithm, I guess. Betty, she's a good girl, aren't you? They're looking good, aren't they? Do you want to come and say hello to everyone? Hey, come here. Don't run away. What's the play? Okay, time to clean the outside of the tanks now. And then it's time to say cheerio. Thank you so much. If you're already a subscriber, thanks so much. If you're not a subscriber yet and you've made it this far, then you know what to do. I welcome ideas for other videos. If there's any other long form content you'd like to see, I do prefer long form. I think these are short form TikTok videos, and maybe I'm just getting old, but I just don't think they're very good. I don't think that's not the videos themselves, it's the whole concept of scrolling and addiction, you know. I find myself scrolling on, I don't have TikTok, I don't have Instagram, but I do have Facebook, and I find myself scrolling on there, and I'm actually aware of myself scrolling, aimlessly, and it will take me a couple of seconds to realise that I'm just being hooked, hooked by the algorithm. And yeah, I have to consciously stop scrolling and get back to the original purpose of what I was doing, which was probably creating content rather than consuming it. I do like consuming content, but generally long form podcasts and videos, or videos of podcasts. Speaking of podcasts, and I've threatened it many times of bringing back the George from podcast, but a friend of mine sent me an email with a Word document, basically a really, really good idea, a sequence of potential episodes. And he's a school teacher, so he knows what he knows how to structure these things. And I think I might invest in a really good microphone, one of those posh ones that they use for voiceovers, because I've just been a bit lazy up to now and just used the lav mic, which is what this is, or even the mic on just the phone, and I know my audio isn't the best sometimes. So, who knows? I'm not going to commit to anything, but if there's enough genuine interest out there, then I'm strongly considering it, because I believe podcasts give you an opportunity to go a bit deeper, because you can't just rely on fancy graphics and vision and visuals. And although aquascaping is very much visual,